Story changes I'd like to make? I think you know where I'm going with this. That's right. All we have to do is make Shinx the main character. Yes! Thank you! Thank you, absolutely brilliant! I know!
Everybody like, hey, are you ready to go? Ready to go? Everybody like,
It's alright! What is going on, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. First of all, once again, I want to thank you guys ever so much for the support. I truly do appreciate it, and trust me, I know that you guys have seen an abundance of Gen 4 videos on the channel, but trust me, that can't happen forever. Do not even worry about that. Trust me, there are plenty of other ideas on the back burner that I have to work on. However, I'm having a lot of fun with these, and clearly a lot of you guys are too. So honestly, I don't see why not keep the ball rolling. Also, I know I normally don't do it like this. However, I kindly ask that you guys consider subscribing as well as helping me out over on Twitter. If you guys could follow my Twitter, that would be awesome, because I think Twitter is the best place to help me organize all the series of things and questions that I'm going to be doing on this channel. All the questions that I'm going to be answering from you guys and all that stuff, I want to transfer them over to Twitter. It's going to help me better organize it so much. So if you guys can help me with that, I would really appreciate it. This video here is an exception though. I am going to be asking you guys another question in the comment section, and just maybe if you guys comment, you guys might get featured in the next video. We'll see what happens. Now, moving on to the actual video here, I asked you guys in one of my previous videos exactly what story changes you'd want to make going into the remakes. A lot of y'all gave me very similar answers to the question of the video previous of that one. So, you know, I had to really dig a little bit and make sure all of the questions kind of answered me properly going into this one. But nonetheless, I appreciate all of the participation all the same. I love it, you guys. I'm having so much fun doing this, and I hope you guys are too. So I want to delve into your guys' minds in this one and talk about what story changes you guys would like to see going into the remakes. Starting off here, Mr. Ark says, I want to fight Cyrus earlier, preferably before Celestic Town, and in Mount Coronet as a passerby. Quite honestly, this is an idea I'm very with. They introduced one of the biggest characters in the game super late, like at a very awkward time. Granted, I know we're not usually supposed to know exactly who the big boss or the big leader is until usually very late in the story, but honestly, there's really no reason to do that. That was always one of the weirder things with Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. There was a perfectly good battle opportunity in Mount Coronet, you're absolutely right. But instead of battling us or even really acknowledging us, he just kind of walked by and spouted some nonsense. Why? I don't know. I think that moment there would be a perfect opportunity to show off his power early, or at least a tidbit of it. Moving along here, AveryTube says, don't make the extra info on Cyrus and Sunyshore City optional. Make it accessible in the game. First of all, I didn't even know that was a thing. What in the world did I miss? So in the midst of this, I just looked it up, and apparently Sunyshore City is actually his hometown. Okay. I'm not exactly sure where this information is found, but regardless, why does this kind of thing come through when the information is now irrelevant? Like, by the time we're able to get to Sunyshore City, we already whooped his ass through and through. So what in the world are we doing getting information on him so late in the game? We should be getting all of our information throughout, learning a little bit about Cyrus here and there, getting to know what kind of person he is so that when we battle him, we kind of have an understanding of what he's going through. Not afterwards. I mean, don't get me wrong, for certain stories, that kind of situation works out perfectly. That's perfectly fine. But for Pokemon? I mean, go ahead and call me a young, dumb kid, but I certainly wasn't going around looking for Cyrus's information after I beat his ass. I was trying to go to the Elite Four and throw down with Cynthia, not learn more about Cyrus. Whatever the case may be, I feel like it is very important to do research on the guy that you're fighting before you fight him. Not really afterwards. Not unless there's some bigger threat that somebody else has taken over because he didn't get the job done. That would be one thing. That would be very interesting, actually. But that's probably not the case, because Pokemon don't work like that. It's not that deep. Next up, Akared says, we need more Cyrus and admin info. I want to know why the planet admins follow Cyrus. Big boy, you are right on the money. I literally said this in my last video, I'm pretty sure, so I completely agree with this. We don't know anything about these leaders whatsoever. The only way to even get a true grasp on the personality now that I think about it is to probably watch the anime. The long and short of it is, we smoked them so badly that they're kinda easily forgettable. I truly do not believe that the planet leaders should be any less important than Oleana from Sword and Shield. Come on, they gave her more than the planet leaders. I mean, granted, she was the side woman in the rose, but come on. Honestly, just a little bit more screen time, a little bit more personality in their animations, some stronger Pokemon, and we're good to go. Next, Shadow Giraffe says, turn the Giratina battle in the Distortion world into one similar to that of the battle against Eternatus, a raid-style battle where Cyrus controls Giratina and you battle alongside the Lake Trio to take him down. This is also something I mentioned in my previous video, actually. I think it's safe to say that at this point, the Eternatus battle is probably one of the best examples of a boss battle that we've ever had in the Pokemon game. You can fight me on that one, but you can't sit there and tell me that I'm completely wrong. That was easily one of the top 5 best things about Pokemon Sword and Shield. The hardest battles that we get are usually against legendaries, and that's only because we're trying to catch them. If it were up to us, we would just kill them and just catch them later, or something like that. We would just eradicate them. Killing them is not that hard. It's catching them that makes it hard. Looking back on it, Eternatus had actual boss level HP, did boss level damage, and had boss level defense. That fight against him was actually nothing to scoff at. You and Hop alone, you got washed. It wasn't until you got the help of the dogs that you actually stood a chance. So honestly, in the Distortion world, Giratina would be at his absolute finest, meaning that he would be the size of an absolute monster. He would mollywop Godzilla and King Kong. Shut that down, bro. God, no way they're standing up to Giratina at his finest hour in the Distortion world in origin form. I digress. He's not nearly anywhere near their size, but I do think he would put in some fine work. Anyway, the whole situation of a raid battle against him wouldn't be all that out there in the Distortion world, and the fact that you would have the Lake Trio helping you, you know, it kind of fits the whole 4 versus 1 mechanic. And you know what else is kind of crazy? We don't even need to utilize Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing in this battle because guess what? We didn't even do that against Eternatus. So this also sets up the perfect play to not have Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing while still having raid battles as a way to accommodate for those that enjoy raid battles in Pokemon Go or in Pokemon Sword and Shield. In the Sinnoh region, kind of. I don't know, it'd be minor, but it would be pretty cool, I think. We need more boss battles in Pokemon. Let's make it happen. Even if they do end up like raid battles. My only thing though is the fact that it is still a little scary because it would be kind of weird to save a raid battle like that for the very end of the game, especially for the newcomers that aren't familiar with it. Yeah, it would be super easy to learn and just fight because that's what we've been doing the entire game, but Game Freak may not see it that way and be like, oh nope, sorry, we can't do that unless we have raid battles throughout. So I don't know how they would play that. Very interesting concept though. Moving on, Direwolf Plays says, I'd want to see the Distortion world become an open world type situation. The best place for Game Freak to add a wild area would be there, so they don't have to change the map and terrain of the regular overworld. So I'm not sure about a wild area per se, although that could work, but I think it would be interesting if they could find a way to make it a tad more exploration friendly. I'm sure in the originals, after the battle with Giratina, a lot of us wanted an excuse to go back to the Distortion world, but not only did they never give us one, but we could never find one for ourselves because we couldn't catch Pokemon there, so all we would do was roam around and jump from platform to platform. There's no reason to go back to that. This is a completely untapped world with plenty of potential. I see no reason as to why they haven't utilized that more yet. Next. Havs Forge says, give us side quests involving Rowan and Cynthia where you perform research assignments. For example, searching for the plates of Arceus and excavation missions. Maybe the final mission can involve a trip to the Sinjo ruins, and maybe whatever happens to be in there could be truly challenging. Dog, if it wasn't COVID season and I knew you personally, you'd be getting the finest dap right now, cause that is how you do it. First, let's start with the fact that you gave us probably some of the most interesting form of side quests that I've ever heard. You still work under Rowan at the end of the day, and Cynthia is still a very important person, so why in the world wouldn't they be giving you missions throughout? I mean, you probably wouldn't get any quests from Cynthia until the end after you've beaten her, but I mean, come on, once you've finished all the tasks with Rowan, maybe they could start merging, maybe they could start working together, and maybe you guys are working towards one big thing together. And as a side thing, this also appeals to a lot of the Pokemon Go players because guess what? We get side quests in that. Okay, well I guess all of our quests are side quests. If anything, I guess they're main quests. But when you really think about it, getting side quests in the form of missions like catch this certain thing or find this certain item, that's RPG basics. All it would take is one ring on the Pokédex for them to be like, hey, sorry to bug you, but we're picking up some weird readings in the distortion world. Would you mind going to check that out for us? And you know, that sounds like a very usual after-game thing, but that should be a quest that's saved for after you've done all the quests with them prior. You should unlock that final quest, not just get it. It's as simple as, catch this Pokemon, obtain these couple of items, bring these back, and maybe you'll get a potion or two as a reward. The build up to the bigger missions really does not need to be anything all that complex. I'm not even done replying to this yet, but already it solved the side quest issue and solved the problem with the last answer. Literally gives us something to do in the distortion world, a reason to go back. But we also need to acknowledge the fact that you gave us proper utilization of a whole section that ties into the potential side story of Arceus. I hope your significant other gives you the fattest kiss of all time, because that right there, I didn't even think about that. Now hearing that name, I actually had to look it up because I didn't remember that at all. The Sinjo Ruins is a snow-covered area of old legends surrounded by a wall of snow to the north of Johto. Apparently, it's not part of any region, it's just very close to Johto. Now apparently the only way to even get there is to bring an event-distributed Arceus to the Ruins of Alph. Let's just completely ignore that last fact because Pokemon does not utilize anything properly, so the Ruins of Alph, that is strictly in Johto. We can completely ignore that, to be honest with you. Because it doesn't take place in a region, there's no reason as to why we can't collect all of the plates in the Sinnoh region and go there and make things happen. It's as simple as that. I'm so mad because I could dig at this all day. I could dig at this so much that it makes me kind of want to throw my last video off a frickin' cliff. Long story short, a lot of potential, but we gotta move on. Now this one is crazy off topic, but Rue Uchiha says, make Dunsparce the new Eevee. Don't just make it one evolution, give it type evolutions just like Eevee, but evolution types that Eevee doesn't have. Okay, there are several things that I need to talk about regarding this comment. One, this has nothing to do with what I asked. I asked for story stuff, buddy. Two, I had to reread this a couple of times because I thought you were straight up messing with me. Three, Dunsparce is a Generation 2 Pokemon. He has absolutely nothing to do with Gen 4. And 4, I'm actually kinda with the idea. I can't say yet if I believe that Dunsparce is the exact Mon that deserves this, but honestly, I think it's worth considering the fact that in Generation 4, a lot of Pokemon got new evolutions. My only real problem with that though is the fact that it would just take away from what makes Eevee so special. Eevee is the first Pokemon to have such a wide option array of evolutions. Taking that uniqueness away from Eevee, it doesn't really do much for him anymore. That would just kind of suck, you know? And I like Eevee. I like the evolutions, all of them. So, I don't know. It's something to think about though. I kind of just wanted to bring this comment up because I thought it was really funny. Getting back on topic here, Ethos Paladin says, Gen 4 did okay with lore and all, but I'd like more events surrounding the mythical Pokemon that have genuine conflicts and resolutions. An event with Arceus eventually deeming the player a worthy opponent would be neat. It would take on a stronger form and it would be a very difficult battle. Honestly, this right here could play exactly into what my man said in the last question. All of the side quests could lead up to this. Maybe like gathering up all the plates so that we awaken Arceus again and he uses those plates against you. And honestly, who's to say we can't have another raid battle against Arceus? Difference is, in this raid battle, it's gonna be a hell of a lot harder because you collected all of the plates that he's using against you in this battle, meaning he's constantly changing types every turn and you don't know what's gonna hurt your team the worst next. It would be a brilliant fight and probably one of the hardest fights in Pokemon if they did that correctly. I imagine that by the point that you get there, you would be more than overpowered. So, honestly, they could go all out with this battle if they wanted to and make this Arceus fully leveled, very well EV and IV trained if they really wanted to, and just go to town. Dog, I think at this point, if we can't just have challenge in the base games, just give it to us in the after game with the legendaries. There's so much potential there, especially with as many mythical Pokemon as there are in 4th gen. Y'all could really make something happen. Emma Cassandra says, this is more of a story preference, but I would like the remakes to follow the story of Platinum instead of having it as a Delta episode or a side quest like people are asking. Giratina directly affected the story of Platinum, so it would be kind of lame to have him as an after effect. This is a very valid preference. Trust me, I more than agree with you on that one, pal. Throughout all of the Pokemon community, I think it's safe to say that Platinum is definitely the more preferred story as opposed to Diamond and Pearl. This video right here is living proof of that statement. If you actually look back at the video, not one person mentioned Dialga and Palkia in the questions so far. Not once! Not even in the questions that I couldn't get to. The Lake Trio got mentioned before Dialga and Palkia. What? So I think it's safe to say that all of us agree that Giratina is the one that's most deserving of the spotlight. Unfortunately though, we have to look at the bigger picture here. Knowing Pokemon and Game Freak, the only way that we're ever really going to avoid that is if they were to give us Pokemon Platinum as a remake instead of Diamond and Pearl. And you know, selling one game instead of two at the same time, that's not really a big money option. Ironically, we haven't gotten a middle game since Platinum, so I don't think that's gonna happen. At the very least though, they have more than enough opportunity to make this one of the best games in the series to date if they utilize Giratina right, if they're not gonna utilize him in the main story. Make that post game brilliant, guys. You can do it, and Giratina is a big part of that. The Distortion world is a huge part of that. You guys can make it happen. There's no reason not to. And finally, I saved this answer for last because this is a big one. Carlo Cousins says, make it so that Cyrus wins. A space-time cataclysm would tear the Sinnoh region apart. Previous locations would look weird because they'd become distorted, which would be a perfect way for the gym leaders, Cynthia, Lucas, Dawn, and Barry to truly get involved, and you and your rivals head off to find Arceus to help restore Sinnoh. Now this right here is a truly interesting concept. For starters, Cyrus winning is something that I had never even considered. For starters, getting actually bodied in the story itself isn't something that happens often enough. In most cases, there's a situation in RPGs that will have at least one unwinnable opponent that you have to battle again after getting that one crazy power-up or something. Now in Pokemon, rarely do we ever suffer something like that. If we lose, it's simply because our Pokemon are not strong enough and we just go out, grind, and then repeat the situation. We don't really suffer loss like that in the story. However, I think that's primarily because we don't use a character that needs development. In Pokemon, they've always utilized that main character that we play as a way to represent ourselves in the game. Meaning that whatever development happens outside of the game. With us personally, we have to learn the hard way if we need to train our Pokemon more so that we can overcome this challenge that stopped us from progressing. So when you look at it that way, Game Freak probably looks at that kind of situation and thinks it's kind of unnecessary. However though, if they do it properly, they could put the fear of God into us. If for whatever reason that final fight against Cyrus has some kind of huge difficulty spike, if we lose, maybe it could send us into an entirely alternate path in the story that happens with the whole Distortion World situation. Now, I don't know about the whole Arceus situation, but the concept of the Distortion World mixing in with the real one is an amazing way to utilize it. I'm sure not a lot of you would know this, but it kind of reminds me of that whole scenario from Sonic 06 where Solaris is pretty much mixing worlds and everything is distorted and it looks gross and looks ugly. There's balls of gravity just kind of pulling you in, sucking you in from random places here and there. None of you know what that is. Anyway, it just reminds me of that situation because it's a perfect way to utilize the mixing of worlds because that's obviously not supposed to happen. But this is Cyrus we're talking about. Obviously, Cyrus messing around with the entire concept should have more violent repercussions, but at the same time, it kinda plays into what he wants. From day one, pretty much, Cyrus wants to become God, and the best way to do that is to destroy the universe as it is currently and reset it. And what better way to start that crazy conquest than by turning reality inside out? As vile as that is, as crazy and sick as that is, that would make Cyrus one of the toughest bosses in all of Pokemon, dude. I know that a lot of bosses would usually go out of their way to do whatever they need to do to get to their mission, to get to their goal, but Cyrus actually accomplishing something like that, mixing the distortion world with Earth? Bro, that's tough. That's tough. And as Homeboy said here, this would be the perfect opportunity for everyone, all of the strongest trainers in the region, to get involved, because unfortunately a lot of the responsibility falls on them, because not every common person will be able to put up with whatever happens with that mix-up. Okay, there could be some dangerous repercussions and some dangerous things happening to Pokemon if that were to happen, and who better to help deal with it than the strongest trainers in the region? I don't know, I just imagine that being in the Elite Four, you have some kind of responsibility to take care of people, you know, to defend people who aren't as strong as you and your Pokemon. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Crash Awake doesn't mind and he's kicking back on his couch eating a fat burrito. The end of the world? Nah, that ain't nothing to this butter slabbed corn on the cob, bro. This absolutely butter washed corn on the cob. Nothing could stop me from eating this. Not even the literal end of the world. Couldn't do it. Point is, the concept of losing and maybe needing to get the help of the Lake Trio to power up your Pokemon to take on Cyrus and Giratina would be a very considerable concept. And I think it would work out very well in the long run and enough to change the story and outcome of the remakes for the better. Woo-wee! Well, would you look at that? We've gotten through a majority of the questions here. I gotta tell you, man, I had a lot of fun with this. Reading your guys' concepts and all your ideas for the story was a lot of fun, all right? It gets a lot of ideas in my head because if you know me, I mean, you know what, you're getting to know me. I'm a story guy. I absolutely love story, and it's one of the most important parts of a game for me. So games lately in the Pokemon department that are lacking story, it kind of hurts, you know what I mean? Like, we just kind of go through the motion, deal with the story at the end of it, and then call it a day. That's just kind of how Pokemon games have worked for the last, no, not decade, that's too much, for the last long while now, you know? So honestly, it's just kind of nice to look at all these perfect concepts and just really hope that Game Freak considers something new, if not for the Gen 4 remakes, for Pokemon games going forward. Just play around, have some fun. I get that this guidelines are a little strict, but y'all could loosen up a little bit. Pokemon's gonna make money no matter what, I hope you guys realize. So making the games better will only help you guys down the road. I say this every video, it feels like, but I'm gonna stop with all that. I digress. It's time to hear your guys' opinion. I want to know what you guys thought about all of the story changes that everybody considered in the comment section. I want to hear what you guys think. Did you think they were foolish? Did you have some better ideas? Let me know. I'm going to be down there, same as all of you guys, and we're going to talk about it. And I think that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. I'm skedaddling on out of here. Thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of considering to drop a like and a comment and subscribing for more stuff on this channel, because I've got a lot planned, believe it or not. Not just Gen 4 stuff, because I literally cannot do that forever. So we're gonna have a lot of fun on this channel, and I hope that you guys decide to stick around on the train, because it's gonna be awesome. Anyway, thank you guys again. Hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I hope to see you all in the next video.